When you get paid for chatting shit, you're doing fucking well in life.
It's true. Yo, what up, guys? Your boy Williams Fitness back again with another video, and I've got Dean Lesiak, Dean the Protein, aka on the channel. We're going to discuss Lee Priest. We're going to discuss bullying in the bodybuilding industry, and we're going to touch on later on another video that we're going to record today on mental health issues, and so forth. But for now, we've got Dean. He's under quarantine like everybody else. He's been doing his bits at home. I've seen on Instagram, lifting weights off wheelie bins and God knows what else. Keeping your mind busy. You're decorating. I've seen you playing the piano. I'm pretty sure there was a guitar in there somewhere. Is that about right?
Electric guitar, electric cello, piano. I'm shit at them all. But
but you're trying.
Yeah, I'm trying.
So to brush over the whole Generation Iron Lee Priest saga, from what I can gather, obviously GI did I don't know if we call it a movie, sort of a documentary style movie on Lee and his career. And from what I can gather, last year Lee did make some statements to some channels, mainly I think it was RX Muscle, about the fact that, he didn't like the title of the video, movie, whatever you want to call it. We'll call it a movie. He didn't like the title of it. There was a lot of people that he had them interviewed that their parts weren't in the video. From what I can gather, there was an issue with paying. Lee only got like a few $1,000s. And there was loads of different things that they didn't do. He had pretty much no creative control over anything that was sort of published and edited, so to speak. And when he did have times to actively input on the editing process, from what I can gather, he was just basically dismissed. And obviously since then, Lee, I mean, he hasn't had a grudge with them, but, with all due respect, he's got a right to have an opinion on what they did with regards to that. And basically sort of did what Generation Iron do best when if you remember the Kai Green, Phil Heath, and the Generation Iron 1 sort of movie.
I watched the first one, but that's as far as he went. I've never seen any of that.
Yeah, well, I haven't even seen the Lee Priest one, to be honest. But with that, they sort of villainized Phil and sort of idolized Kai, which sort of set a precedence then for Phil being the bad guy in the industry and Kai being like the hero. So I think that's what they did with the title of the film for Lee. It was like Lee Priest vs bodybuilding, like he was against it, even though it's been his entire world from like early teens, if not younger, with his mum being in the sport. So obviously you know Lee very well. You're friends with Lee. You've spent a lot of time with Lee. From social media to in person, is he the same person?
It's identical, mate. Lee, when he thinks something, there's no filter. He just says it, and it depends what mood he's in. Whether he's in a playful mood, stupid mood, or a serious mood, to what content you get out of him. But he's very much the same. You spend a day with him, it's just a day of joking around and fun and fucking around and all kinds of. Sometimes you need to drag him away from small children around and stuff.
Can you imagine?
Things that come out of his mouth, you're like, you can't say that, Lee. There is no filter. He's hilarious. But,
so, with regards to the movie then, and obviously, I presume you're aware of that whole situation, knowing Lee as well as you do. What are your thoughts on what Generation Iron did with that? Do you think Lee should have had some control over the title, some of the interviews, or do you think when you sign up to something like that, you're sort of signing away those rights? I mean, what's your opinion on that?
My opinion, bodybuilders always seem to get slated and they go on TV and shit like that. So anybody like me or you, we're into bodybuilding, we're there to try and big them up and show the good side of it, and not the stigma of the steroids and the shit and everyone's roid rage and all mental weirdos. Do you know what I mean? Because there is a lot of that in fitness in general, but a lot of the top pros are level-headed. They know what they're doing. And going back to what you said about Phil Heath and Kai Green, I remember watching that and I thought, you know what, Phil's a bit of an arrogant dick, isn't he? And then I met him, and it couldn't have been any different. He's the nicest guy. He was unbelievably intelligent. You know what I mean? He's on the ball. in business, in philosophy, and in bodybuilding. He just smashes it in every direction of life. Do you think what generation did hurt his career a little bit? Because I had a completely different opinion about him until I met him, just from their shitty little film.
Yeah.
So yeah, whatever they're doing.
Personally, I think if anything, it could have gone either way for Phil. If anything, luckily, I think it spurred him on more. I think from that point on with Generation Iron, there was always a bad taste in Phil's mouth with the name Generation Iron. I think what they did and how they sort of tried to make Kai look like he came from humble beginnings at that time, because I knew he had that flat, but he also had a big house. And they said, no, let's shoot it out of the flat so it looks like you're poor, you're down and out. And it was very reminiscent for me of like Pumping Iron, when you saw Arnie at the top, and then you look at Lou Ferrigno, and he's sort of training with his dad because he's got hearing difficulties.
Yes.
Even in Pumping Iron, it was sort of almost trying to villainize Arnie in a sort of playful way. And I think Generation Iron sort of tried to manipulate that sort of thing.
I can see what they're trying to do is they're trying to create entertainment, aren't they? So they're trying to get a bit of rivalry and all the rest of it and make it entertaining. But it was all shit, right? It was bullshit. Like, tell the real story at least. And I'm sure, I don't know Kai, I've met him once, but I'm sure he's came from a very dark background. He's got some serious dark issues still in there somewhere, and I wouldn't fuck about with that guy, do you know what I mean? He's but I'm sure he came from a poor background, and he's probably done things he's not proud of to get where he is. But at that time, he's going for the Mr. Olympia. His life wasn't like that at all. And they're trying to paint a completely different picture to create this story and make it more entertaining. But to me, that's not as you're not interviewing people. You're not showing the true story. You're just making up a fictional bullshit movie, aren't you?
Yeah.
Say it as it is, or say it's fucking fictional. So I'm pretty sure they've done exactly the same with Lee.
Have you seen the Lee movie?
No, I haven't. I've just heard all the bullshit afterwards, and now they've been going around slating Lee, saying he's a bully and he's this and that. And Lee speaks his mind. He's far from a bully. If you see the abuse that Lee gets online, out of 1,000 people abusing him, every now and again he'll pull one up and he'll have fun and he'll answer back to him. Do you know what I mean? If Lee has come from a shitty background, and a lot of it's came out now, and like when I asked Lee, he never said he was bullied or anything like that at school, and he didn't really talk much about his past. But anybody to be able to push themselves and achieve anything near what Lee has, in my eyes, had to have gone through some horrific or gained some kind of mental strength to be able to do that. And we know Lee's a genetic freak and he's going to look good no matter what. But if you've seen like how he used to train with Tom Platz and stuff, and he was telling me once he was doing leg press or something. He didn't have a massive weight on there, but somebody just went, I bet you can't do 1,000 reps. He did 1,000 rep set. He said that halfway through, he said my legs were so painful, and then they just became numb. Couldn't feel anything. He was just repping and repping till he'd done 1,000 fucking reps. And that's unheard of to me. It's crazy. Like, when I was at my strongest, I'm really proud of the fact that I squatted 220 kilo, 5 plates aside for 20 reps. And I was like, yeah, fucking smashed it. Then I was chatting to Lee, went, yeah, me and Tom used to do that quite often, every week. You know what I mean? It's
wow.
The way he pushed himself and all the rest of it, and those genetics, is why he looks so phenomenal. So you can't take anything away from him. I believe that his childhood and his shit that he went through pushed him and give him that mentality to get where he was. If somebody's been through that kind of shit, you kind of have a bit of hatred inside you. Maybe it's not the right word, unless you let go of it, you let go of your past and move on. If it's still in there, and then people will keep poking at you, every now and again you're gonna get bit. It's like having an abused dog in a kennel, isn't it? It's gonna bite you. if you keep poking it with a stick, it's going to fucking bite you at some point. So it's until you actually be nice to it, then it might actually stop biting.
So with regards to Generation Iron, what they've been doing this year is, I say this, probably the last 3-4 months maybe, is they started interviewing people, traveling to whatever location they did it with. The best one I saw was Mac Truck. Now, obviously, I've had Mac Truck on my channel. Mac Truck was Rich Piana's like best friend back in the day. Long story short, they went to his house. His wife was upstairs. They're interviewing Mac Truck. And what they do is they will interview you for a good hour and a half, 2 hours, but they'll build and work their way up to something sensitive to get. So they'll sort of like break you down a little bit, like most interviewers probably do anyway. Not like lull you into a full sense of security, but enough to like
get a bit of trust to you, open up.
Yeah. So I think they did that with Mac, and then obviously got that Rich Piana 2-3 minute clip, and that was all they uploaded. That 2 to 3 minute, and that to me then showed a precedent for them anyway, going forward with all that. That was what they were doing. They were spending an hour and a half, 2 hours with these people, and then taking the smallest, shortest, like juiciest bit and only uploading that, which to me I thought was very disrespectful. If you were using it to create like hype, like and part of it, like a trailer of a build up to the full interview, then yeah, I get it. But taking it out of context with the whole bigger picture, I thought was like Mac, when I had him on, was saying like how he wouldn't have any beef with Phil nowadays. He didn't have any regrets, this, that, and the other. And those sort of things would have been in that interview. And they've done it with a few others. And what the point I'm trying to get to is they've done it with Lee's mum. They took a really long interview, took that short little segment out where I think it was very out of context, and basically saying, from his childhood, he had, problems with, was it his dad? His dad was gay, was it, or something like that? And then obviously the issues that created around that. And then obviously his mum then felt the need, she had to put a statement out there against Generation 9 and obviously for Lee, sort of defending his corner a little bit because, Generation 9 did what they did and sort of put their massive spin on it. And I think it was sort of a clapback to Lee with regards to the comments he's been making about the film they made about him. Rather than take it on the chin, like, you're going to have critiques. And if the guy that you made the video about is critiquing it, you've got some issues. You need to have those people involved in the creative format of it, because the one person you want to be happy first and foremost is the guy the video is about. If he's happy with it, he's going to promote it more.
Of course, yeah. I think that just going off, they're just trying to get any kind of content that people are going to watch on it. And a lot of people will watch anything, like when you're putting people down or slating them or anything bad about somebody who's in the limelight, people want to hear it. But what they're doing is shooting themselves in the foot. So they get the views now, but later on, you're burning all your bridges, aren't you? Because Lee ain't never going to work with him again, and other people around it. Like, I don't know anything about Generation Iron. I would never fucking work with them because I'm hearing these stories. You know what I mean?
The worst
They're
thing
fucking
is,
themselves for the future.
that's exactly that. And plus, obviously, Lee is, he's an elite in bodybuilding. Doesn't matter what he says, what he does. In my eyes, he's an elite. He's up there with the best of the best. So all those people are still going to have respect for him and his opinion. And if he's going to slate his own movie he's done with Generation Iron, who else would want to make one? And the problem that Generation Iron have now is, obviously, Kenny KO did the video on Callum Von Mogler about the baby daddy and all this shit. That sort of went viral. Callum is obviously part of Generation Iron. He must have reached out to him because me and Kenny KO were also contracted to Generation Iron as content creators. So basically, whatever we made, they posted on the website and made money from it off the back of us. And we'd occasionally get a hat and a t-shirt. So what they've done is, because
That's
they...
one of those sponsors, isn't it?
Bag of protein, mate. So what they did was, rather than get rid of Kenny, they got rid of all of us. And there was some big names. They had, what's his name? Something Corner. Vic Drayson. They had Rick's Corner. I don't know if you can remember Rick. Rick, is it Drayson, his surname?
I don't know these
He's
people.
like
I'm just
pumping
not
iron
into
back in the days. Real old school guy.
Okay.
Like, he interviews people like Stone Cold Steve Austin and all those kind of guys. But a big name from like the golden era. They had Machiavelli Motivation. You've heard of them.
Mm.
We had a big network of YouTubers. But the problem they've got now is rather than just getting rid of Kenny, they got rid of all of us. So now they've done that. That's why they've got to get off their arses and go and do interviews, because they've got nobody left to do. You know, they could have used my interviews. They could have, signed, Desktop Bodybuilding, anybody else, put that. The fuck now, because they've pissed so many people off on YouTube. They've sort of burnt their bridges, so they've got to do the work themselves, which obviously costs money. So I think that's why they're sort of trying to claw back revenue, trying to clickbait. And they've sort of become, no, in fact, they've not become, they are the TMZ of bodybuilding. And I think it's just drama. It's nothing to do with promoting it. It's not educational. They're not putting content out there that's relevant to anybody. And most of the shit they put out always badmouths somebody. If it's not the person in the video, it's somebody else. It's just, it's very negative. And
it's still, man, it's like watching a fucking Jerry Springer show. People are going to watch it for the drama and the bullshit. But like with the athletes, no, you're slating all the athletes. How are you going to get any athletes on the show? And if you got no athletes, you got no fucking content.
What they do is this is how they sold me joining them. They were like, oh, look, we've got 1 million people on Instagram. We've got, over 1 million on Facebook, just giving me numbers. And at the time I was on about 20,000 subscribers. So obviously I'm like, cha-ching, I've made it. I'm partnering. They give you a title. Oh, you're a network partner. And I'm like, oh, wow, I'm a network partner. It meant nothing, literally meant nothing. They wouldn't promote me on Instagram. They wouldn't tag me in anything on Instagram. And I had like literally transcripts of me going, they'd share like a video I'd done that was going viral. Wouldn't even tag me in it. They wouldn't go, yo, check this guy out on Instagram. So I'd go back and forth with them. So obviously I've got drama with them anyway. So when I seen this Lee Priest thing, I was thinking, should I get involved? And I thought, yeah, I think I should. For not just to defend Lee, but knowing I've been burnt by Generation Iron as well, and I'm a big Lee Priest fan anyway, like most of us are, I just think he's opinionated. That's it. People ask his opinion, he gives it, and then they question what he said. And it's like, well, don't ask the guy the question.
Don't ask in the first place. Yeah.
So
that's exactly it, mate. He's, you know what, Lee don't go out of his way to slate anybody. He has his little rants here and there. But he would never do anything to anyone unless they fucking stir the pot. Do you know what I mean? He soon jump back and defend himself, and he's very good at that. And sometimes, like I say, what he says goes a bit too far. But you know what I mean? I can't deny anything that he says. Everything he says is true.
Yeah.
I agree with him. I wouldn't put it in the same words he uses, but I agree with what he says.
Why do you think Generation 9 are calling him a bully?
Well, I don't know the full story in it. If Lee slated them, then it's their way of getting back at him in it. So it's now a battle of who's got the most followers and who's got the most fans. So if you've got 1 million people that follow you, they're going to listen to you no matter what. And then all Lee's fans are going to listen to Lee, isn't it? So instead of working together and fucking gaining each other's followers and helping each other, it's just dumb, isn't it? And they're looking for the short game, get the views now. In the long run, they're fucking themselves over. Can you see them lasting that long if they carry on going the way they're going?
The thing is, I mean, it's always fun for me. I can't do it anymore on Instagram because they blocked me. I sent them a really shitty email when they said they were dropping everybody after Kenny did that video. And at the time, I was already having issues with them. And me and Kenny Kerr were talking back and forth for weeks before, saying how they were screwing us financially. So, like, what I used to do is every time they posted, I used to scroll down in their comments, or even on any Generation 9 YouTube video. If you're bored one day, don't watch the video. Just click on any, pause it, and then just scroll down and just see how many people actually hate Generation 9. It's ridiculous.
I bet, yeah. But the problem is everyone that goes on there to hate them gives them an extra view. And then more people see it. So they're laughing in the background, like they don't give a fuck attention to tension, don't they? Exactly. So the best thing people can do is just pretend they don't fucking exist.
I think that's probably the best thing everybody should do. From what I can gather, they've got Larry Wheels in the pipeline for do a movie about Larry. I just wish people would just see them for what they actually are. They're not trying, regardless of how much shit they're trying to churn out, doesn't always make it quality. Doesn't matter how many movies that they're making, doesn't necessarily mean it's, you know, a quality film. And obviously, if you look at the people they've had on movies before and they've burned along the way, they're not exactly setting a path, you know, lined with riches for everybody else to join and jump on. So with regards to Lee, do you think Lee is a bully?
No.
Do you think he's ever said anything?
He bullies Lambo sometimes, and when he's in the mood, he'll bully me. Only his friends.
Yeah, but between you're like fucking brothers when you're together anyway. You sort of bounce off each other and you laugh it all off. And Lee reminds me of me when I was at school. Not that I'm not saying that I've matured now, but you know when you just fuck about all the time, you don't care what you're saying. It's like I'll say that. Yeah. You know, I don't even think he needs a filter. He's just that honest about what he wants to say. He doesn't need a filter. I think sometimes he can be very crude with this terminology. I think that's where the filter's needed.
Well, we did last time we did a podcast. It was me, Lambo, and Lee was supposed to jump in, and he was like, "Oh, I'm a bit tired." I said, "Okay, we do it anyway." So it was just me and Lambo. 5 minutes in, Lee starts crawling under the table. Then his little head pops up. And then he starts, fuck this, fuck that. And he starts going on about fucking child molesters and Australia burning down and all the fires and fuck this and fuck that. It got so out of control that it was going out live. As soon as we finished, it was like, Billy, get it off now. He had to delete it straight away. It was just out of control. But he's hilarious. You see the comments coming up. People were pissing themselves. But it's like, I can't say that.
Did one, was it not last Olympia, the Olympia before, on Instagram? You might remember it with the gummy bears.
Gummy bears, no.
In his hotel room, he just got these gummy bears, and he was like, and here's Phil Heath, and here's Big Ramy looking squishy, and all this shit. It was fucking hilarious. Honestly.
You know what it's like? He got a fucking globe from somewhere, and he's spinning around the world just chatting shit about parts of the world.
So, I have seen comments on that Generation Iron video. People call it racist also. Do you think Lee Priest is racist?
Racist. Some of his best friends were black. You know what? Lee has no filter. He will say words, maybe to try and get people to take offense, just to get a bit of drama going.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? He's far from racist, even though he will say some things that will question that. I know he's not. Look at back in the day, his best friend was Paul Dillon. They was living together at one point, weren't they?
Yeah.
If he is racist, then he must have just had a select few coloured friends. I don't know, it's crazy.
So,
but no, it doesn't come across like that to me.
I don't get that vibe from him. I think he's very out there. Maybe sometimes he, like elevates his persona a little bit, especially in interviews, because it adds more entertainment to it. But I don't think he's a bully at all. I mean, I went through about 40 videos he'd done on Instagram where he was talking. Unfortunately, I had to watch about 10 RX Muscle videos because he's always on there. And it's like, okay, he says crude shit. It is what it is. He's out there with stuff like that. And that's the love him or hate him sort of vibe he's got with people anyway. And he's already got his fan base. He doesn't need any more or any less. He's in his lane, and that it is what it is. But other than the crude shit he was saying, like, I couldn't find nothing. Literally nothing at all. He was pulling people up on the bullshit, and that was it.
Yeah, he jokes about and he says stupid shit, and then when he's being serious, like you say, like you might be a bit crude about it, but I agree with his every word. He just speaks the truth. It's crazy. I know people call him liars. He talks shit and talks that. And like, I know, like he's told me on a personal level what gear he's taken and this and that. And whether it's 10 years ago or now, I talk to him, it's still the same. He's not lying about anything because people don't believe him because he looks better than them.
Unless.
And you know what it is, like fucking people abuse the shit out of gear and they look like shit and they fuck themselves up. So somebody like Lee, who looks incredible, on minimum, like he was done like a fucking shot of Deca and a shot of Sus once a week or something like that. That was it. And he's off season. If he wasn't competing, he wouldn't touch gear. He'd have like 6 months off or whatever. He even competed in one of the Olympias as a natural. I think he had a whole year off gear. He said, "Oh, I dropped a few places. I come 7th or 8th or something." As a natural going into it, do you know what I mean? He's a bit softer and holding a bit more fat. But other than that, he's on the Olympia stage. He's been natural for a year. He is a genetic freak of nature. He doesn't need to smack loads of gear. And do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People don't believe him because he's telling the truth, but it doesn't sound like it adds up when you look like that. It's crazy. I think that's where some of it comes from.
Do you feel he needs to even do these videos to put him out there to defend himself? Like obviously RX Muscle had him on, and obviously that benefits RX Muscle. But obviously Dave is friends with Lee. I think it's safe to say they're very good friends at this point. Do you think that Dave gave him the platform to sort of speak his opinion on it? Or do you think it was for views as well? Do you think that Lee even needed to defend himself?
I think a bit of both of the first two. Whether he needs to defend himself, not at all. I mean, he's got plenty of followers and enough fan base and people. He's a very likable guy. I mean, a lot of people hate him as well. But I'm sure he'd put it out there and defend himself because he enjoys it in a little bit. Like he likes to have his point and he's quite a smart guy, you know. You can't if you argue with him, he's very witty and he's quick. And I think he likes that because he's hard to argue with because he get you every time.
So to wrap up on Lee Priest, he is not a bully. He is not a racist. He's opinionated, and that's safe to say. And people shouldn't be getting offended by asking him a question and him answering it the way he's going to answer it.
Yeah, if you don't want to hear his opinion, don't fucking ask him, innit? Same as anybody.
Don't watch the video, don't watch the film. If Lee Priest's on there and you're not a fan of it, why are you clicking on it in the first place?
Yeah. This is the whole point. I get a lot of people slating me, and I'm sure you do. You and Lee certainly gets shitloads. Why the fuck do people follow him? It's like they go around searching to get offended so they can put their little opinion out and have a little rant and cause some drama or shit. All that says to me is your life is shitty. You're bored fucking shitless, and all you're trying to do is drag people down. If you spend that time dragging people down, working on yourself, building yourself up, you won't have time to give a shit what anybody that you don't like is doing.
Yeah.
People will start hating you because you're doing so well. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't understand why they do it. If you don't want to hear Lee's opinions, don't fucking follow him. He don't give a fuck if you follow him or not. He's got enough people that love him anyway. He really doesn't give a fuck. Lee just does Lee.
That's it. I think that's the best way to wrap the Lee Priest thing up. Lee does Lee. If you don't like it, fuck off. So,